Hello. How many of you have ever seen the movie Snakes on a Plane? However many of you have ever wondered what it is like to be a flight attendant? From what I've seen and heard, there are certain parts of the job that makes me think that it is not as all it is cracked up to be. Recently, I was watching an episode of 2020 on TV, and they did a story on flight attendants, and they only get paid if the flight takes off and the door of the flight is actually closed. They have to put up with all kinds of passengers, and if they can put up with that, there are also some perks of the job if they can hang in there. Let me go into detail on some of these points with you. Flight attendants spend many hours getting trained and taking hard exams just to be able to fly. And then they must have annual training as well that they must pass or they will not be allowed to fly. A flight attendant is now only paid if the flight only takes off. If the door never closes or leaves the runway, the flight attendant loses the pay for that flight. Even though the median pay for a flight attendant is about $37,000 per year, there have been cases where last year flight attendants have only made about $9,000. Although a flight attendant can work up to 90 hours a month before they are cut off, many of them do not make that quota. There are many reasons why a flight attendant might lose their pay for a flight. Flights get canceled due to weather and maintenance on the aircraft, and when that happens, the flight attendant will not get paid for that particular flight. If a flight is delayed for a layover, then the flight attendant is not paid either. This happens more than you know, and it really cuts into the pay and hurts the income and how a flight attendant lives. The flight attendant can also miss out on a lot of family time, because unless they have a lot of seniority, then they have to be on call a lot of time and work most holidays and weekends. If a flight attendant is sick and calls in sick, then they cannot fly even if it is with another airline. If they are caught doing so, then they can be terminated. Flight attendants also often suffer from jet lag, and there are articles that suggest that they also have a high rate of alcoholism because of their crazy work schedules. One last thing that a flight attendant must always worry about is that the airline they are working for will go bankrupt. There is one good thing though, and that is if a flight attendant is late and that the flight attendants who are working that flight will get paid overtime. Another hazard of the job is that a flight attendant has to put up with all kinds of passengers. There will always be those passengers who refuse to listen and follow the rules. This can be as simple as putting their seatbelts on, or turning off their cell phones, or turning their computers off. People who sneak into the bathroom for a quick smoke is another problem on flights as well, among other things. Another type of unruly passenger that a flight attendant has to put up with are those people who get drunk or have just had too much to drink. There are a lot of people who have drinks to help calm their nerves, but there are a lot of people on flights who cannot hold their alcohol and have to be escorted out the flight or physically restrained until they can be removed from the flight. There have been several instances where fights have broken out mid-flight, and the flight attendants as well as other passengers have had to restrain the person or persons until the flight could land and law enforcement could be brought in to handle the situation. There are also those annoying people who constantly ring the call button who do not really want anything but to annoy everyone else on the flight. Another type of person that a flight attendant deals with who can get out of hand can be children. There are times on flights when parents cannot or will not control their children, and the flight attendant and other passengers are the ones who suffer for it. There have been instances where a child has cried for the whole flight because they have been tired and the parent has not been able to get them to calm down. Those flights seem to take forever. Medical emergencies are something that cannot be controlled that happen in the air. The flight attendant has no control over that when that happens. These emergencies can range anywhere from altitude sickness to someone going into labor and giving birth, and yes, even death. There was a case out of Miami where a person tried to sneak a dead body on the plane in a garment bag because they did not want to pay the $5,000 it would have cost to transport a body. Singapore Airlines actually offers the corpse cupboard that will store corpses that are being transported. Flight attendants must be ready for any such a situation that can arise at any time. Flight attendants take all kinds of abuse, but if they can hang in there, there are some great perks of the job. Usually for the first 6 months or so, they are on a probationary period where they cannot use any of their discounts or benefits. But if they can wait out that probationary period, then they can have some great incentives. They get to travel all over the country and sometimes all over the world depending on what airline they fly for. They also get discounts or free flights depending on where they are going and when they are traveling. They also can get great discounts or even free flights for family members or friends. If flight attendants can manage to put up with the abuse and make it through everything they must deal with, then they can enjoy some of the rewards that come with the job. Flight attendants get to meet all kinds of interesting people, including celebrities, and don't forget the unlimited number of peanuts. Although there are some rewards, there have been stories in the news of flight attendants who have lost it and walked off the job mid-flight, pulled the emergency slide and slid down while going on a cursing tirade and just given up in general. Many flight attendants are often frustrated and get little respect, so next time you fly, be sure to let your flight attendant know that you appreciated it. Thank you.